everyone, it's Nicole and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to work on a page in Dark Fairytales from Kerby Rosanes. Now I have to tell you, I had started another video where I was coloring a Christmas page and I was filming it, and then I got so much into it that I forgot to film the end. So I just scrapped that video. I just deleted all the footage because I had only filmed the beginning of it and I didn't film like finishing like the cottages, and I'm still not done. It's still a whip, it's still a work in progress, but I just have to do like the gnomes and a few little people. So that will be when I show everything that I got done in November and December. I don't think I'm going to do a video of what I colored more than once every couple months because I don't get that many pages done. They take forever. But I am enjoying the process. So today we're going to start with Dark Fairytales from Kerby Rosanes. And if you can believe it, there is Christmas pages in here. It is the Nutcracker. So we're going to do this one. I didn't know if I wanted to do this one or this one, and I'm going to do this one. I am going to follow the tutorial from Karen, My Colorful Country Life, because I am still learning how to do coloring. I've been a big scrapbooker for 25 plus years, love scrapbooking, and I had a child that got super sick this year, and it just wasn't, if anything, scrapbooking just made me cry even more because of the pictures and everything. So I was just like, okay, I need something else to relieve the amount of stress that I have. And then I remembered that I had coloring books that I had bought like in 2017, 2018. So I took those out and started coloring, and I absolutely loved it. It made it so that it helped with the stress. And now I am like fully in. I did have my Inktense already. So that's, something that I also use for scrapbooking. I did have some Prismacolors, but I've gone ahead and I bought the Polycolors, the Albert Durr, some soft pastels, some oil pastels, more. I had some Tombow markers, but I bought more of those, some Thule Arts. Like, I just kind of gone all in. But now it's time to actually put like pen to paper, like they say. So I'm going to do that. We're going to start with these three here. And what I'm going to try and do is whenever I use, let's say, 1700 in the Inktense, I'll put it on the screen and I'll try to stretch it for as long as I use it. But because I'm new, I find that I come back with the colors over and over again and, shade and that kind of stuff. But know that I'll be using 1700, which is mustard, 730 and 740, which is saddle brown. Now what I do is I go through the video and I figure out what she did. So then I put hands, face, and then I put the colors there. So 1700, 740, and 730. So that I know that's the order that I need to do it. And then I put water. And then I put the Prismacolors that I'm going to need. PC 948, 941, 1098, and 914. And that's all for the hands and face. And then, later on, there's going to be, I think, pupils or eyes somewhere else. Or right here, eyes and pupils. But that's just what I do. I write everything down. But I find this is messy, right? And I want to keep track of everything that I'm doing. So I'm buying these journals and I'm dedicating a color for every artist. I haven't done it yet, but this is going to say Berman, Rita Berman. And then, I can put up to 3 coloring books per one of these journals. So this is, you know, one that I did already. It was the dragonfly, and it was in the book Africa. And I also did the safari, but I didn't write down the colors. So I'm going to go back, watch the video, and that's what I'm going to do. I take a picture of it. I put the title. I put the date started. I put the date finished, which, by the way, I have the date finished for that. And then I write down everything that I use. And I absolutely love that. I love that. So I have Africa in here, Europa, and then I'm going to have Asian. And I don't know if I'll have enough to do another book. So Rita Berman's going to be green. Hannah Carlzone, which is going to be that other book that I just showed you, the Christmas, she's going to be pink. So I'm going to do that Christmas Village. I'm going to put it in there. And I think Kerby Roseanne, because he has a lot of dark stuff, I think I'm going to do black. But those, oh, my chair is so creaky, sorry. Because his are dark, I'm going to buy black. There's 5 different colors. There's black, dark blue, like a navy, no, it's like a dusty blue, pink, sage, and dark green. So I have enough for 5 artists, and then I'll have to find a different make, I guess, of those notebooks and try to get different colors. But it's going to take me a while to build these books because they're $20 a piece. So I'm doing them in this. I just got this from the dollar store. It was $2. And like here I put Nutcracker, Dark Fairytales, Kerby Rosanes. So then I know that when I'm ready to put it in those books, when I finally get it, I'll be able to just like, okay, I can go here. It takes me about 45 minutes, but it's relaxing. I can do that when I feel like coloring, but I don't feel like coloring. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to have a drink of my coffee, and I'm going to put you on not real time. And I'm going to try and do some voiceover and just talk about what I'm doing, but also a little bit of life update. I used to do that when I did diamond painting, which I haven't done lately. Hopefully I'll get back to it. I'm hoping after Christmas life gets somewhat back to normal. Anyway, I'll talk about that while I'm coloring. So that was probably one of the things that I did that helped me the most, is just to get that notepad. We were actually, I think we were away when Mason got his ref course, and it was almost a all day thing. And we went to the dollar store and I got this notebook. And while I was waiting for them, because they had to go in class, I sat down and kind of watched a video and wrote down all the colors that she used for that specific project. And I would write down the time that it would start and what, you know, she was coloring. So for example, for this, at the top, I put Nutcracker. I put that it's in Dark Fairytales, and that the artist is Kerby Rosanes. And even I've gone through all my coloring books, and I've in pencil wrote down the number of the page. So this is page 67, so that those journal books that I show you, the dot grid journal books that I showed you at the beginning, they have numbers at the bottom. So for the first, 85 pages, the first book, I can say, okay, it can be from 1 to 100, let's say. And then the next coloring book from Kerby Rosanes, I'll put book 1 or page 101 to whatever, let's say to 200 will be the second book, coloring book, and then from 200 to 300 will be the third coloring book. And I put those pages, the page number, in that coloring book. Now I put it in pencil because what I do is when I start coloring the page, I put that number 67 at the top of where I write down all the colors in my just like messy notebook. And then when I'm going to put it in that dot journal where I'm going to do it all like neat and take a picture and, color a square of each color and, what I was coloring and all this stuff, then I know that to go to page 67 or 167. So what I'm going to do is, while I'm coloring, I'm going to talk about the coloring page. Absolutely. I'm going to talk about that at some point, but I'm going to break it up with also kind of giving you an update just on life, on the kids, on even my scrapbooking, just everything. And then I'll come back to talk about the coloring. When I look at this video, it's 2.5 hours. Now, when I asked, just to leave it quiet or put music or talk, most people said that the music, like I find it too, is very annoying, and just nothing is so also annoying. So I'll do as much talking as I can, and then at one point I might speed up the video to ×2, so at least I can don't have to talk for 2.5 hours, because that's a long time. And just to tell you that I had actually started filming another video. It was in Merry Christmas, Hannah Carlzone. It's like the Christmas Village, and I filmed almost more than half, and then I hadn't done the voiceover for it yet, thank goodness, because one time I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I just picked up my pencils, and without thinking that book was the one I was filming, because I always work on 2 books, one that I'm filming and one that I'm not, so that when I'm talking on the phone, or if I just feel like coloring but don't feel like filming, or just want to sit in my bed and watch TV and color, I can have a coloring page that I'm not filming. Now, every couple months or so, I'm going to do all the pages that I've colored in the last 2 months, and then we'll talk about some whips that I have, so work in progress, and maybe talk about, the pages that I'm kind of thinking I might color in the next few months. But anyway, that page I was supposed to be filming, and lo and behold, I started coloring, and I colored a lot. So I probably had like 5 hours of filming. I just deleted everything because I couldn't color the whole thing on camera. So I just got rid of it. And it was a Christmas page, and I'm still in the Christmas mood. And I wanted to do a different different artist, because I'm trying to color at least 1 page out of every book that I have. I have quite a few books, not as many as some people that I follow. Some people I follow, they have like 200 plus coloring books. I probably have probably 50. And I'm kind of slowing down. I'm not buying any till after Christmas. I got plenty to color. And right now, we need to focus on Christmas presents. So let's talk a little bit about the page. So we're going to start with Inktense. Now, I don't have the full set of Inktense. I have a pretty big set, the 72 set. And so I have like 28 colors that are missing. Now, I did find a store that carries them, but they're literally across the country from me. And I think what I'm going to do, I have 28 missing. So I might, after Christmas, order 14, and then, a month or 2 later, order the other 14. And Inktense is something that those pencils, they're not like Prismacolors. They don't, like some of my Prismacolors, when you see me coloring with them, you get through them so fast because they're a soft core. And Inktense, what's cool about Inktense is that you color on the page like it is a pencil, and then it's activated by water. But what's cool about this is that it's actually ink that is dry. so you can move it around on your page, and then once it's dry, it's permanent. So you can do layers with other, or again with Inktense over top, and it's not going to move that first layer that you put down. Now, one thing that I did was I did put the Inktense, the big set, like the 100 set, on my Amazon wish list, so that if it goes down, like, you never know, like, what if it goes down $100? Well, then I could get the entire set for the same price as what I'm going to pay for 28 of them. It's the same thing with the Prismacolors. I needed probably, I don't know, 25 of them, because I found like they were getting pretty short, a lot of my pencils. I mean, I still have, probably quite a few pages that I can color with them, but I'm like, oh my goodness, they're all gonna run out at the same time. So I had the full set of Prismacolor on my Amazon wish list. Anyway, it went down to $100, $104. They're normally 200 plus for the 150. So I was like, you know what? Yes, it's not the whole 150 that, are getting really small, but it's going to cost me just as much to get those 20 or 30 that are getting low, then I can get the whole set. So I did that. I brought the whole set. So I am going to be watching for the Inktense to see if they do go down quite a bit, and then maybe I'll buy the full set. But again, the Inktense, you don't use them as fast as the Prismacolor. So the first color that we are going to use on this Nutcracker is 1700. So it's Inktense 1700, and the color is mustard, and I will have it at the bottom of the screen. I just figured I would do the voiceover first, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add all the colors. It takes quite a bit of time to do that, and I can do that while we're watching a TV show, but I can't do this part when someone else is in the room with me, and so it's easier to do the voiceover when I'm here by myself. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm doing the 1700, where I'm doing the hands and the face, and I'm not going to activate it right away. Then I'm going to go back, and I think I have it now. Now I have the 1740, and I'm going to add it where I think there should be like shadows. Now, I am following Karen at My Colorful Country Life. I went through her videos and I wrote down all the colors that she used. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll start following her tutorial for the placement of colors and everything, and then about halfway through I go, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna, at some point I want to be able for me to know where the shadows need to be, where the highlights, I can put highlights. So a lot of times I will start following the tutorial, kind of figure out, okay, and Kerby Rosanes, his illustration is really good with that, because he puts a lot of pen work where there should be shadows, so that helps a lot. But I have her video in the background. I turn the music off because I can't listen to the same song over and over and over again. That is something that does drive me a little bonkers. So I just turn it off, and then I just start coloring. And half the time I'm not even coloring the same area that she is, but at least I kind of look up once in a while. I'm like, yeah, like, for example, on his face, at some point you're going to see I start putting, like, deepening where all the cracks are on his face, and around the sleeves and all that when we move on to the next color. And then I look up and I'm like, oh, she did the same thing. So I have it as a guide there, and definitely using the colors that she did. But I say that, but at the same time, when I was doing the Merry Christmas, I did end up changing some of the colors, but I find it's a good way to start getting your base of, how to color, is to follow someone else. There's all kinds of great tutorials out there. And then at some point, I know I'm going to be like, I'm ready to go. Because when I started scrapbooking, 25 years ago, I would follow somebody's, page 100%. And then here I am, it didn't take me 25 years either, but here I am years later, and I'm coming up with my own pages. So I know that I just need to train my brain to figure out where the highlights are, where the shadows are, trying to figure out color combos. And that's why I bought some of the dot journals too, because I want to play around with the colors on my own, not with a coloring page. But okay, let me try to figure out a red combo that I really like, or a green combo. And Karen is really good with that too. Like, she offered a ton of examples. So I'm definitely, when I start doing the pages on my own, I'm definitely going to be, using inspiration from her color combos. But also, I got the 4 color cubes from Sarah Renee Clark, and I plan on using that to use a color combo as far as like 5 different colors I want to use on a page. And then let's say if there's an orange, well, then when I pick an orange, I pick a mid, and then I pick a shadow, and then I pick a highlight. And you can do like 2 shadows, like, so a very dark, a less dark, and then you would have your medium, and then a lighter one, and then a really light one. So really you could pick like 5 colors. This Kerby Rosanes page is so great, because a lot of his pages, if you look, even the page next to it, right, there is teeny tiny stuff all over, and then you have to, color all these tiny things. Although sometimes a bigger area, it's a little harder to do your shadows and your highlights and that kind of thing, because it's so big. But he put so much detail in this Nutcracker. Like, if you look at his face, he's got like a wood texture. So you're able to take the Inktense and just go and just kind of color in where all those cracks are and everything. And it really helps. And I didn't this time add the Inktense and then wet it, and then added the second color and wet it. I added the first color to everything, then came in with 1740, and then added quite a bit of shadows wherever I wanted shadows. And then at the very end, I added the 1730, which is artichoke. What is 1740? 1740 is saddle brown, and then 1730 is oak, not artichoke, oak. And it's like a greenish, and oh man, it just was awesome with the 2 other browns. It just really worked really well, and I really like that color combo that Karen put together for this Nutcracker. And I'm still learning how to use the Inktense, and I've had those Inktense for probably 15 years, and I've never used them more than I have in the last 6 months. So I definitely use them more for coloring than I did for scrapbooking. But I love that these supplies, I can both use them in my coloring, but also in my scrapbooking. Now, I want to tell you that coloring for me, well, it's going to be a year in January, is when we knew something was not okay with Kate. And even though you don't know what it is, you know that, something is not right. So it has been an extremely long year. Now, I didn't start coloring right away. I, kept just scrapbooking and reading and all that stuff, because even though you know, you still hold on to hope, right? You still hold on to hope that it's going to be something small. Like at first they thought she has like a cyst like thing in her sinuses. She might need a surgery for that too. So a lot of her symptoms were like, if you look at, and I can't remember what it's called, but if you look at the symptoms for that, a lot of the symptoms she was having could be related to that. And right down to the dizziness. The only thing that didn't really fit was a double vision. But then again, like everybody's different. So it was like, well, maybe. And then when we found out the diagnosis, I needed an outlet. I needed something that I didn't have to think, that I didn't have to, that wasn't for work. It was just for me, to try to relax. And I have to say, at the beginning, I did a lot of charting. No, not charting. Not a doctor. The charts, though, of the different colors. And then Sarah Renee Clark, she has with her color cubes, there is a digital form that you can print off. And then let's say if it's card 200, well, with the Inktense, she's already figured out what colors are for that with the Inktense and Prismacolor and all the different brands of colors. So I purchased the digital part. I print it out for the Inktense and the Prismacolors, and I started coloring those in. Just coloring those in. And I was okay with that because, one, it got me to understand the pencils a whole lot better. And especially like the Prismacolors, they're so soft, and you can, when you layer a color over the other and you press a little harder, you actually blend the color. So by doing that, it got me to learn how to use the Prismacolors. I'm still not that wonderful at it, but I'm getting better. Every page that I'm coloring, I'm getting better and better. The only thing that I find is, let's say, I did all the face and I activated it, and then you're going to see me coming with some Prismacolors, and I'm going to add some, shadows, and then I'm going to come in with the next color and blend those in. At the very end, and usually once I turn off the recording, I go back and I look and I see if I see any white on the paper, and then I blend even more. Sometimes with the darker color if it's close to the lines, and sometimes with the lighter colors if I'm closer to the highlight. Now, one thing that the Inktense does is it covers that the tooth of the paper. It covers that. So when you start blending with your Prismacolors, you have less blending to do. So I started coloring with, those charts, color charts that I was doing, and then the color combinations. And I started just looking. Well, I found Sarah Renee Clark, so I started watching all her videos, and then I just typed in, like coloring video tutorials, and then I found A Pictured Purpose, I think is her name, Kira. And I found Elm Colors, Emma, I think is her name. And then I found My Colorful Country Life, which is Karen. And I found, who else? There's quite a few people. I can't remember everybody. And I just started watching tutorials, and then the purchasing it began. Then it was like, at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this Kerby Rosanes, like these pages are so complicated. But then I found Karen from My Colorful Country Life, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the pages are gorgeous when they're done. And when I saw her like kind of break it down, like don't look at that full page and go, oh my gosh, that is so overwhelming. Just pick one thing, like the face and the hands, and just start with that. And like today I said, I'm going to do the face, the hands, and the main part of the jacket. That's what I'm going to color today. And that took me 2.5 hours. I'm up quite a bit slower than what she is. I think her entire video was 4.5 hours, like completing this. It's probably going to take me probably 6 hours. Quite a bit slower. And that's okay. I'm sure I'm going to pick up speed as I get more proficient. It's like it used to take me 6 hours to get a scrapbooking page done. Now I can get, unless it has a lot of mixed media on the page, but it still only takes me a couple of hours, but I can whip a page in an hour or under, or, if it's a little bit more complicated, a couple of hours. Just think, when you started, cooking and baking, like it used to take so long. And now, I can whip up a meal in no time at all. Like, within half an hour, I get the main part of the meal done. And then it's just a matter of, baking it or cooking it or whatever the case may be. And by breaking down recipes, you can even make a recipe that maybe you thought was kind of like difficult at first. It's way more manageable if you break it down, pun intended, into bite size. Same thing with coloring. If I look at that entire Nutcracker, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to take me at least 6 hours. I don't think I want to start. But for me, what it has done for me is literally calm my soul. It really did. It was able to stop my brain from thinking all the time, because that's all my brain would. I would just think all the time, and I would cry all the time. And when I started coloring, that was the only thing that could occupy my brain. That and watching. I watched a lot of TV, like, yes, I was watching it on Prime or Netflix or Apple TV or, wherever we have like subscription, Paramount Plus. I was watching a lot of series. I've watched a lot of series. But the sampling of all my pencils, I could do that while I was watching TV, because and maybe it's because of the job that I did, for 14 years. We had to multitask so much that in order to keep my brain occupied so that it didn't have a chance to think, I had to do more than one thing. So I had to be watching a show and coloring, because just reading wasn't enough. I don't think I read 25 books this year. I am not going to be even close to 75. I said I was going to, wanted to read 75. I thought of bringing it down to 25, but I don't think I can even get it down to 25. I tried reading last week, and I don't know, it just can't keep my attention. I don't know why. And I mean, I loved reading, and I basically have a library in my house. I have over 1,000 books. So I need to start reading again. But maybe I just go with the flow, and maybe because I know I'm not even going to come close to doing my goal for the year. I'm a very goal oriented person. I like to write down what my goals are, and it kind of motivates me to getting things done. And if, you know, I know I don't even have a chance, I even think bringing it down to 25 right now, I would have a hard time. Today's December 9th, but we are so busy with Mason and his hockey. It just seems like it's just go, go, go. There's at least 4 to 5 and sometimes 6 things a week for Mason's hockey. So it just feels that we're going all the time. Now, Kate is not back at work yet. She's hoping in January. I don't think she's going to be ready. I mean, we got a pretty amazing results, right? They said, well, he had said it was completely gone, but when she looked at her MRI, it's still there, but it's very, very small. And I think what he was saying was that her chance of paralyzing is gone. And if it went down that much in 3 months, another 3 months, and it's going to be completely gone, because it went from 9 millimeters to 2 millimeters. So if you put your thumb and your index finger together, touching, the distance between your nail is 2 millimeters. So it's very, very small. But she did have a brain surgery. So the recuperation from that is still huge, right? And she's still some days getting headaches. It's not as frequent as it used to be. They're not as intense as they used to be. But it's a 6 months of recuperation, and she's at month 4. By Christmas Day, she'll be at month 5. So I think she's going to need at least 1 more month to recuperate and make sure that she's okay. Especially her job is pretty demanding. So like physically, it's physically demanding. So she needs to be in, working order in order to do that. Now, he is very optimistic that she is going to be 100%, back to normal. I hope so too. Her hand, where she couldn't even feel hot or cold, now, and she doesn't feel her hand. She can feel heat and cold now. I don't think to the point, like if it was too hot, I don't think she'd be able to say, "Ooh, I need to move my hand." But she can feel heat and cold right now. And so that is good, right? So, but we don't know if she's ever going to get feeling in her hand again. And she still has, some days she has double vision, and she's dizzy. But he said it's going to take 6 months for her brain to heal, right? It's recalibrating itself. The fluid was going somewhere it wasn't supposed to go. So now it's recalibrating itself. So we just have to be patient. And I think, when I talk to her some days and she says, "Oh, my head, it's so bad today," I can't help it. I get the fears again, And then she got sick, like the flu or, the big C or whatever. and she had a headache for 5 days, like a bad migraine. And I said, well, it sounds like 2020, like the way your head just hurt. It was it was in the front, it was in her sinuses, and like it was just not going away. So I said, it sounds like that, so hopefully, and it did go away. So, but you can't help but have, when she has those symptoms, you can't help but have that fear. So I think it's going to take us a while to not have that. Now, I injured my rotator cuff. I think it's getting better. My thumb is somewhat numb, but not completely numb. I can feel it. My index finger, if I don't touch it, it doesn't do that pins and needle things anymore. But when I touch it, where before I could not touch it, it hurts so bad. It's numb. And I went, for physio for 5 weeks. Now I have the exercises. So I'm just going to do the exercises at home. I just can't go. I'm not a person that can go out like every week. I'm a homebody, okay? And already we're go with Mason with his hockey. Like on Friday, it was like a game at noon and a game at 6. It was like 12:15, but a game at noon, a game at 6, a game, then at 2 on Saturday, and then a game again at 9 on Sunday. And they lost by 1 point, so they didn't make it to the finals. It was a heartbreaker, but they played so well. They outplayed the other team, outshot them. It just did not want to go in the net. Sometimes that happens, and they still need to be proud of the accomplishment that they did and everything. So, and then tonight there's hockey, but Dave is going to be taking him. I'm just staying home. I'm making us supper. My arm was hurting so bad at the end of the weekend. Oh, and then I volunteered from 3 to 5 on Saturday. And then Dave came home with 3 kids so they could shoot pucks because then we were coming back at 6 because the U13 AA was playing and the team wanted to support them. I ended up getting stuck there because Dave got paged. Anyway, they ended up getting there. It was the second period or something like that. And then we drove the kids home. And then we came home and then, had to wash Mason's clothes. And then he had to have a shower and have supper and all this stuff because we had to get up at 7 o'clock the next morning. And off we went again. And he's got a game this Thursday. On Saturday, they're doing a fundraiser. And then his little buddy from hockey, his sister plays competitive volleyball, and his parents asked if we could watch their son and take him to the fundraiser, and they have their hockey party that night, and they're probably going to sleep over. I'm not sure. I forgot to ask, but whatever. It is what it is. We used to do that for our kids, and we're doing it for Mason too. It's not a big deal. It's keeping us young, right? Mason is enjoying that. He's, having sleepovers with his friends, and it's keeping us young. They come here, they shoot the pucks, they have fun. Dave goes downstairs with them, and they make competitions. They have a blast. So it is we did that with our 3 kids. Our 3 kids, they were 6 years apart. So our oldest, she had her time. She had a friend. She would come over almost every Friday, and she would stay here till Sunday. And then same thing when Kate got to be in high school. She had a friend that would be here almost every weekend. And, we would go to Josh's tournament, and we would bring a friend for Katie because it would be less boring for her to be, in a hotel room with a friend. And then when my son, when he got to be a teenager, I remember it was the big joke because his parents asked us if we needed child support because basically the summer, you know, he was here almost all summer. And that's just, we have been used to that, having kids here all the time. So we're actually, when it's just me and Dave, it's so quiet. And my daughter's husband, you know, he had taken some time off to take care of her. Well, he's back at work, and he doesn't work Thursdays and Fridays. He works Sunday to Thursday. So now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, when she is not feeling well, or the baby didn't sleep well the night before because Lexi got sick, she got an ear infection, like it was just a whole thing, right? So they come here and she sleeps and I watch Lexi. So, you know, I have Lexi a lot of times, or often, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, yesterday they didn't come over. They came over a while ago for like an hour and an hour or two. And I get to see Lexi. I love that little peanut. She is hilarious. She makes me laugh. And I'm just happy that I am healthy enough to be able, you know, to help out. And I'm trying to get back to being able to post. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post twice on YouTube per week. One of them is going to be a coloring, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do a clean with me or if I'm going to do scrapbooking. I haven't decided. It's a crafty channel, so I might one week do like a coloring and a scrapbooking, the week after a coloring and a diamond painting, and the week after that a coloring and an organize with me, you know, organizing our craft stuff. I want to show you my desk that I put together for coloring. I put that in my bedroom. It was my son's desk. He bought a new desk when he moved away, even before he moved away, but he didn't want one like what we had bought him. So I put that in our bedroom. I moved my bookcases out and I put them where the desk was. Probably in the next few days, I have another bookcase that I want to move out. I want to fix a few things, and then I will do my desk, you know, for coloring. I want to share that with you. But I am enjoying coloring for sure. I'm sure you have noticed, but I have ×2 this video because I was at, I don't know, 34 minutes, and there was like almost 2 hours left, and I'm like, I don't think I can talk for another 2 hours. And I don't know if I'll be able to do that for every single coloring video that I do. I might sporadically come in and just talk about what I'm doing, and you know, if there's updates to give, then give updates. But that is a lot. What I also might do is, like today I've done a 50-minute voiceover. I might take a break and finish the video tomorrow and kind of give my, you know, my throat and my voice a little bit of a break. So what I love about using the Inktense, you know, I did the base with the 3 colors of Inktense, and then I came in with my Prismacolors with 4 different colors, and I started with the PC 948, which is the darkest color, kind of did all the shadows, and then I come in with the 941 and went over the 948, and then went past, you know, where the 948 ended, and kind of did a light coat with the 941. And then I came in with a PC 1098, again went where the darkest colors was, the second darkest, and then once I get past that second color, then let off on the pressure, and then it's a little lighter, And then I come in with the PC 914, and that's the very, very lightest. And again, I go through and I blend everything. And then I look and see, can I see the tooth of the paper? And then just kind of blend everything. And it just makes it so that there's highlights everywhere. And I really like how the face and the hands of the Nutcracker turned out. I just love it. At this point, I took a break. I went and there was a few dishes that needed to be, put in the dishwasher. So I went and did that. I needed to feed my sourdough starter, so I did that. And then I came back and I pulled my pencils to work on the outfit of the Nutcracker. And I'll tell you right now, all the pencils, so you can take them all out. So when I do put them on the screen, you'll have them out already. So I have Prismacolors. I didn't base with any Inktense because Karen didn't, so I didn't. Because it kind of goes from black to red. And the black, you just use it in the, like really in the corners or the very shadows. And then when you use the next color, which we start with red, if you go to the darkest color of red, it is black. So black has all the colors actually. So I started with PC 935, PC 1095, PC 937, PC 1030, PC 925, PC 924, PC 923, and PC 922. That is a lot of different colors. So every time I go in, I just put the smallest smidgen of each color because you want to finish with your highlight. And again, when I started with the 935, when I came in with the PC 1095, I go and I color over the 935 and I blend the 1095 with the 935, and that is what I love. The difference between Prismacolors and polychromos. Polychromos, I would put the 935, the whole thing, and then I come in with the next layer. You don't blend. You actually layer the colors to get the color that you want. That is going to be a new learning thing for me because I'm now used to the Prismacolor, and the next page I'm coloring by myself, it's going to be with the polychromos. And did I say polycolor? Polychromos. And I'm going to do it on my own because I need to figure how these work. And I think Karen again did some combinations with the polychromos. And I think I'm going to print those off and I'm going to practice with that first to know how I need to layer those colors in order to get the color that I want. I hope that makes sense. So while I'm coloring with the red combos, let's talk a little bit about, the time of year it is, Christmas. We are not even a little bit ready. I do have some Christmas gift purchase, but not all of them. I have none of them wrapped, 0. Our Christmas tree is not up. Like I said, we've just been going from one thing to another. Now, Dave is off for a few days, like a week and a half or something like that. And I think it starts this Thursday. So I think what we're going to do is the first day, we'll just take a day and just kind of get reorganized, kind of set everything back to 0. We got to move the playpen that the baby plays in. We got to move a shelf in order to be able to put the Christmas tree. So we'll probably do that on the 11th. And then on the 12th, we'll bring up the Christmas tree, put up the Christmas tree, and then maybe that night start wrapping gifts, maybe take them all out, divide them into piles. I have to figure out who I have left to buy for. I think I know. So it's so much, right? There's too much going on. And then usually I take pictures every day for December daily. And I have to tell you, I thought of it on December 1st and I just didn't have it in me. I really didn't have it in me. I probably should have taken pictures every day. And then say, if you're able to someday do the December daily, just go ahead and do it. But here we are, December 9th, and I have not taken any pictures. And I probably should have. When you consider the year that we've had, we probably should have definitely taken pictures. I'm having regrets right now. I'm having regrets. But when you're just so tired that you think, I don't think I can do one more thing. That's exactly how I've been feeling. I just didn't think I could just taking pictures every day. I just didn't think I could do one more day. And I'm not doing as much as I used to, I definitely have a little bit more downtime that I had, I guess. But I guess with my injury and like Mason's hockey kind of took up a lot of that downtime that I was supposed to have. Like last weekend from Friday to Sunday, literally zero downtime. Like either we were, going to a hockey game, or I was going to the grocery store and getting food for him to in between the games, to coming home, to washing his clothes, making sure he was having a shower, and then getting ready for the next morning, and then boom, getting ready, taking him to the games. And then I volunteered for 2 hours, and then we stayed there till 7 o'clock at night. So by the time we got home, we made sure, okay, go in the shower, made sure he ate, and then I was pooped. I went to bed and fell asleep, and then we got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we never got home till probably it was 11:30 when I got home. And then that day, I just don't remember. I was exhausted. And then yesterday, I got up, I filmed, I edited the video, and then I don't know where the day went. I really don't. I don't know where the day went. Before I knew it, it was supper time. Dave even cooked supper. I was played out. Literally played out. Now this morning I got up and I made I edited the video today. I didn't even edit the video yesterday. And I wanted to edit all the hockey games and put them on unlisted on YouTube, and then I make a playlist for the parents, and I just give them a PDF, at the end of December. And then I do it again at the end of March, April. So 2 different PDFs. I didn't even do the 4 games they played this weekend. I need to do that. So I don't know what I did. I think I talked to my mom for 2 hours, because I barely talked to her all weekend. And then I know what I did. I talked to my mom for 2 hours. I talked to Kate for an hour, and I talked to my son for an hour. So I was on the phone kind of reconnecting with everybody. And sometimes that's what you need to do, right? So today's the day that I edited the video, uploaded it to YouTube for Patreon, put it on the site. I put the digital files for tomorrow on there. And then tomorrow I'm going to film the video for Thursday. And then I started coloring this guy. And I think, I colored yesterday. I colored a lot in Merry Christmas, the Christmas Village. I probably colored for 3 or 4 hours. That's what I did. So I kind of just took the day just to kind of, like I said, coloring just takes me to another level, if you will, and I just relax and just enjoy the whole process. One thing that I just remembered is I wanted to let you know one of the palettes that people are all, talking about for coloring and stuff is the Caran d'Ache paint palette. One side is smooth and the other side is rough, so that you could take like your Inktense or your watercolor pencil, and on the smooth side, if you try to put some color, it won't work. And if you do it on the back side and it's rough, some paint or some crayon will go on there, and then you can take your paintbrush and color that way. Well, that paint palette is super expensive. In Canada, it's $35 plus tax. Anyway, it was out of stock anyway. And I have just a plain paint palette that I bought years ago. I think it was a pretty good one though. And just from years of using it and cleaning it and stuff like that, one side is really rough. And I was thinking like, hey, what if I take some sandpaper and kind of sand that coating off? And like I said, I don't really have to do that because just from years of using this palette, it's really rough. And I took one of my Inktense and I like passed it over and it works. So I don't need to get the $35 Caran d'Ache paint palette. I just, if you have an old paint palette that's kind of rough, that'll work too. Or I would take like a fine sandpaper and kind of sand your paint palette so that it's got ridges, and then you can do the same thing as the Caran d'Ache paint palette, and boom, just saved yourself a whole bunch of money, like $40. I'm so happy that paint palette was upstairs, and the other day I worked on a layout or a coloring page, and I needed the paint palette because I was kind of shaving off some soft pastels and then doing my background with soft pastels, and I like to put it on a paint palette, a little bit of it, and then I can take the brushes and kind of do my backgrounds. And that's when I noticed that it had kind of a rough, one side is totally smooth and the other side is rough. So I can do the same thing as the Caran d'Ache paint palette. And I thought I would share that with you because, like I said, it looks like a nice paint palette, but $40. And this one here, I think I still paid probably a good $20 for it. It's a pretty good paint palette. But now I can use my watercolor pencils or my Inktense and just lift the paint from the paint palette. So I thought that was a great hack. Now, I have to tell you, the only problem is that that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do is color. I don't want to do anything else. So I have to kind of like make little deals with myself. Okay, well, color the face and the hands, and then you got to get up and then you got to do like the dishes and, feed your sourdough. And then I came and did the jacket, and then I went back and I don't know about you, but I don't like to make supper at 4 o'clock. By 4 o'clock, I am cooked. I'm cooked. I don't feel like cooking. So what I do is usually around noon is, like tonight I made barbecue chicken, homemade barbecue sauce and chicken, and then potatoes and carrots. And at noon, I peel my potatoes, peel my carrots. I even made the barbecue sauce, thawed out my chicken. And then that way at 3 o'clock, I just put the chicken in the oven, in the barbecue sauce. And then at 5 o'clock, all I had to do was cook my potatoes and my carrots, and supper was done. I do not like to wait till it's supper time to make supper. But back to the coloring. I think when I start making my color combos, I really don't think I'm gonna make it so that I have like 8 pencils in my color combo. I'm kind of thinking maybe 5. 5 would be a good amount. Now, the bigger the element, the more colors that you need. And that's the one thing with pages where you have a lot of like bits and baubles. The smaller the element, like 3 colors, and it'll probably fill it up, right? Plus like the very last highlight. So, if it's like yellowish, then you do like the cream. And if it's any other color, you can do white and really add some eye highlights to your colors. So I can't wait that I'm at that level that I can start doing my color combos. But also, I did purchase the 4 color cubes from Sarah Renee Clark, like I mentioned earlier. And after Christmas, I want to challenge myself, to pick a book and to pick one of the cards and go to town. Like there's 5 colors, do 5 colors on that page. Or what I can do is pick 2 cards that coordinate well together, and then it'll give me 10 colors, right, for a big page. What I'd like to start doing also is maybe going to Pinterest and getting some inspiration, and then just almost do like a vision board, and maybe print them off on just like cheap paper, and then put them with the pages and kind of try to come up with my own, in quotation, color combos for my page coloring. And I know it's gonna come. Like, I think this is maybe page number, or late coloring page number 6, maybe 7, maybe, yeah, around there. So I am literally just starting. Now, back in 2018 or 2019, when I got some coloring books, I tried coloring back then, and I don't know, it didn't stick. It didn't stick. That's when I bought my first set of Prismacolors. I think it was in 2017. And then I bought coloring books. And like I said, I tried it and it didn't stick. And this time around, like I said, my brain just needed that release. And it's probably the most fun, I guess, or that I really enjoy since scrapbooking. I've done many crafts over the years, including like toll painting, like painting on wood and ceramics, and I did cross stitch, and what else did I do? Like so many different crafts. I would find a craft and I'd be like, all in. And scrapbooking was one of those that, yeah, I was all in, but it's been 25 years and I'm still scrapbooking till this day. Like I said, in the past year, this is probably the least amount that I've scrapbooked since we moved into the house in 2016, because I didn't have a proper scrapbooking room for quite a few months, until we built myself a desk and I could, start scrapbooking again. But I seem to remember it was like almost 6 months before I started really scrapbooking. And I did scrapbook because I made a ton of pages for Patreon between May, June, and July, until she got her surgery. In 3 months, I did all the pages for May, June, July, August, September, and October. I did 6 months worth of layouts for Patreon in 3 months. Like, I was when I didn't have the baby, I was working like 10 hours a day and I got it done. Now I'm back at, like I have a page due on Thursday and I'm going to make it on Wednesday. And that's fine. Maybe after Christmas I'll be able to, at least be ahead by a couple of weeks. But I feel like right now, when I have a few hours, I just want to color. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what makes me really happy, and I'm still doing the work, right? I'm still making sure that my stuff is on time. It's just that I just do it the day before instead of, months before. But I am so glad that I put in that work, because I really truly needed that mental break, you know? And it wasn't, she had the surgery and it was like, oh, easy recovery. Like it was a really pretty tough recovery. A month later, she ended up in the hospital for another 9 days, and it was such a scary time, because we really didn't know. Like, hindsight is 2020, right? Because now we look back and we know, like, okay, yeah, it was a rough 9 days, and then it was a rough month after, because she had to be on steroids and everything. But at the time, we didn't know if any of that was going to work, right? Was she going to end up back in surgery? Was she going to end up back in the hospital? And to tell you the truth, even now, like, she's 4 months in, and I think we still have a little bit of that, fear. Like a couple weeks ago when she had a migraine for 4 or 5 days in a row because she had been sick. Right away we were like, ugh. I didn't say anything to her, but inside I was, really kind of panicking that, oh my goodness, this can't be happening again. But back to this coloring page, like once I get this outfit done, this is probably one of my favorite pages I've colored up to now. It is so nice. It's the dragon one from Kerby Rosanes. The way that I was able to blend all the colors and everything, I love that page also. But this page here, like, I'm looking at the page right now and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just love his outfit, and I just love like the highlights on his sleeve. And I know it has a lot to do, I just said a little bit ago that, oh my goodness, I don't think I'd want to do a blend with 7 or 8 colors. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, because it's got so much depth of color, because I, followed her tutorial and I used all 7 or 8 pencils, whatever it was, and that's why it's so nice. But I just can't get over how much I love this. And now I can't wait till tomorrow morning so that I can keep coloring. I think tomorrow I'm going to do the shoulder pads and maybe his hair tomorrow. No, maybe shoulder pads, his hat, and the collar tomorrow. And then if I still have room or time, I should say, maybe I can do his hair or the background. But again, I have to tell myself, okay, well, you have to do this in order to be able to do coloring. So I'm going to get up first thing in the morning. I'm going to go and I'm going to make my page for Thursday. And I don't need to edit it right away. My reward will be to do that part of the coloring, and then when it's time for a break, then I can do the editing and everything for the coloring or for the layout for Patreon. on Thursday. And then I still have to make the Make a Page kits for the live, which if you are a Patreon member, which I'm going to put it on Patreon here in the next couple of days. But this month, instead of a live, is I'm just going to do the Make a Page kit, and then I'll film a video making the three pages, and I'll post the video. So you'll still get it, but because it's getting so close to Christmas, and like I said, Mason, it's like one thing after another, and I'm still helping out quite a bit with Kate, and we still haven't decorated or anything, and I haven't even started cooking anything. I need to start making a list. I like making list. Okay, I want to make peanut butter cookies. I want to make Rice Krispies. I want to make the dessert with, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like small marshmallow and chocolate and peanut butter. Oh, it's so good. So those squares, I want to make those squares. And so I need to make a list of everything that I want done for the Christmas season. And I'm still kind of debating whether or not I'm going to do meat pies, because I love to make meat pies. I also like to make pizza rolls. Oh, those are so good. There's just so many things I'd like to do, but not a lot of time to do it. So we'll see. And plus I want to make a couple of chicken pot pies so that we have them in the freezer. So what I like to do is we get the chicken from Costco and we have a meal with it. And then I take the rest of the chicken. I make 4 pieces of doughs, one for the bottom, one for the top. So it's enough for 4 pies. And then I make my own chicken gravy. And then I have the chicken that's already cooked. And then I just use mixed vegetables. Oh, it makes the best chicken pot pie. And then we have one for supper. And then I freeze the other one. So I need to do that so that we have extra meals in the freezer. I also want to make a big spaghetti sauce, and I want to make some lasagnas and stick those in the freezers. So many things to do, so little time. So that's why I'm going to film the live this month, and that way I can, do it whatever. If I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll get it done. So you'll still have the 3 layouts, but instead of being live, it'll be pre-filmed. Look at that jacket. Isn't it gorgeous? I absolutely love it. And another thing that I can't believe is I just talked for an hour and basically 20 minutes. Another minute, it'll be an hour and 20 minutes. Again, I don't know if I'll be able to do this for all my coloring videos because it is a lot. And I mean, after a while, what do you talk about, I kind of talked about the technique that I do when I color, start with the darkest color and then come with the next color that's the lightest, go over the darker color, and then as I burnish it, if you will, then I go light on that second color, and then the third color goes over everything, and then it layers the color and it gives you that depth of color. I absolutely love that. I love using Inktense. I haven't used my Albert Dürer watercolor pencils yet, so that is definitely something that I want to do in the new year. I want to use my Albert Dürer more. I'm going to keep using my Inktense. I want to use my Neo Color 2 for backgrounds. I started using my soft pastels for backgrounds. I absolutely love that. I'll be sharing one of the pages that I colored with that probably at the end of December. I'll share all the pages that I colored in November and December. And then I also have oil pastels that I want to try out. I've been using my Tule Art paint pens. Ooh, I want to use my Tombow mono markers because they're great for just basing. And then you color on top with your Prismacolors or, you know, whatever pencils you want to use. I also want to bring my Ohuhu markers down here because I just bought a new coloring book, the Lulu Mayo's coloring book. Anyway, it's only one-sided, so I am going to be using markers in that. But this video is coming to an end, and if you're still here, thank you so much for spending an hour and 20 minutes with me. And this is where I stop. I did the face, the hands, and the outfit. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.